Hi faculty, here we are going to have a short little video on rubrics and the creation of rubrics in Blackboard. This is great for companion and hybrid classes. So let's go on down to the rubric tool. If you scroll down, you'll come to your course tools, and way there at the bottom in alphabetical order is the term rubrics. Okay, so once you get to this little area, you're going to see some rubrics that may already be in existence. And I'm going to show you what we have done as far as a universal rubric that is involved in our course here. So we're going to click on this, click the arrow, and we're going to edit it. Okay. As we get to this page, you're going to see a few things. You're going to want to give it a name. If you have other rubrics in your class site, as they come over to you as a development course, then you're going to want to go over and definitely name your rubric something else. Put a date on it if possible. As you'll see, there's a description on how it's used, and that's a good thing. Now, a couple things about the rubrics you'll want to check out. One of the things that we do is we kind of encourage you to put the best grade first. The rubrics that we build in, if you open up a brand new rubric within this area, it already starts at the unsatisfactory first and then moves across. But since students read from left to right and we want them to all be successful, I always insist on starting at the exemplary one. Make sure that you are putting in a percentage range, and you want to put in criteria weight. You can add rows, add columns, delete columns. One of the other elements I usually suggest is to have 5 columns, because the first column you'll notice here in the percentage is A. The second one's a B, the third one's a C, the fourth one is a D, and then we have the F's. And the D one should probably, in this case, should be 65 to 69. Now, this is a universal one that we use in all the English level classes. So I usually go in and change this to meet our standards. So you don't really need unsatisfactory. So if you want to, you can go over and scroll around and down here, and I would say delete it and don't worry about it, because needs improvement can work that way as well. And you can change some of the information. Your choice if you want to do this. I'm not going to change this yet, but I'll show you some other elements to look at. The other thing to notice here is note a couple of things. When you put in the percentage, it's your choice to put it in there. You can change the level of achievements here. But when you put in exemplary, it'll show you the different way. You can delete the column or edit the column. Percentage signs. This is nice because when you go in there to grade, it'll give you a range. So if you had a student who did exemplary, but there was like a couple little boo-boos that you want to signify, then you would give them, like, say, a 92 versus 100 in this level. And the weighting one is where you want to put in what weight you want it to be. And it's all figured out mathematically. You don't have to open up an Excel file and do it. For example, 30% is the initial post. In this case, peer response, 20%. And remember, in our cases, what we usually do is we require 2 peer responses. So that's 10%, for each one. The source support is when we're teaching them APA. We need, and references and stuff, they need to put that in there, 10%. Grammar and mechanics is 10%, and participation is 30%. What I usually do, since this is an English class, I go in here and put that 30% and change this to 10%. You can alter this stuff any way you want to, but I want to stress the hardest part, and I'm going to send you in an email with this. You'll also get a copy of the verbiage that's written here in the rubric areas, the criteria. That's the hardest part and the thing you can spend the most time in. You want to use specific terms. For example, this one says mastery of the material, critical assessment, and thorough exploration of the subject matter. That's pretty clear for the initial post. In the case here, what I usually try to do in the grammar and mechanics demonstrates mastery of grammar and mechanics and with usage and no errors. Here, you put this in here and it puts fewer than 3 errors. I give them specifics. And then when you give them your feedback, you can put those details in there where you had 3 errors, here are the errors, or ask them to find the errors themselves. So there's a lot of different little things you have to do. And you'll notice here you have to change all these percentages as well. So let's go back over here and go back to the rubrics. And I'll show you some of the things to think about when you build a rubric from scratch. Okay, so you want to create a rubric. And what happens is, I'll show you what it looks like, and then we're going to be playing with this a little bit. Always give the rubric a name. So I'm going to go this test rubric 2019. You may want to put in a description. This is a sample rubric. Okay, now this is what comes across. See, we only have 3 columns: novice, competent, proficient. And then we have formatting, organization, grammar, and you can see they're all weighted like a third of each area. So here you want to put in the percent, you want to show the criteria weight. I always go in here and pick a percent range, and that's where you get that happening. Again, that gives you a little bit more flexibility if you have a student that does, it does almost quite right, but there's a few things off. But again, the hardest part is then when you go in here and determine what's a novice, what's competent, what's proficient as far as formatting. So let's say we're working on a research paper. So novice is going to be failed to use the APA template provided, or whatever it is. Missing references, margins, indents, incorrect, whatever you think you want to do. All right. The more details you can be here, the easier it is for the student to understand what you've done. We're here to help you write better ones if you want to. Now you will see here where it says levels of achievement. There's where I can reorder the page. So I can put this, and move that over, and then put this and move this here, and now submit, and it changes them automatically. And if I want to add a column, you just go here, adds a column, you can give it a name. Same thing, you can add rows instantly. Okay, we're going to be talking a lot more and provide some more details as far as how to write very competent criteria in rubrics. One of the main points you need to follow up on, though, is to make sure that this falls within the criteria of your learning objectives for the class.